Hi guys, welcome to the channel. In this video, we are going to create some shaders for our black hole. We will be creating 2 shaders from scratch. First of all, create a new unlit shader and name it as Black Hole Add, then open it. In the shader, go to the top and write a custom folder name. I am writing Black Hole as the name. Then in the sub-shader block, set some tags. Change render type to transparent. Then set ignore projection to true and Q to transparent. Then in the pass block, set some more tags. First set name to forward. Then set light mode tag to forward base. Set blend to 1:1. And turn off Z right. If you want more details on these statements, I must recommend you to see the Unity documentation. I am not explaining, as that would take a lot of time. Then in CG block, I am going to define some Pragma statements. First, I will define Unity pass forward base. Then, I will write a Pragma statement for multi-compile, FWD, base. Then, I will write a Pragma statement for rendering the shader only on Unity3d 9.11 and OpenGL Core and OpenGL. In the last statement, set target to 3.0. Now include main texture property. Then in app data struct, define a new float4 variable, vertex color. Then in v2f struct, define a new float4 variable, vertex color. Now invert function. Write o.uv equals v.uv. Write o.vertex color equals v.vertex color. Then in frag function, remove all the code except the apply fog statement and return statement. Now define a float4 variable, base color, and extract the base color using text2d function. If you want to know more about this function, watch my shader development tutorial series. Link will be in description. Now define a float4 variable, emission. and set emission to base color.rgb times I dot vertex color.rgb times I dot vertex color.a. Then define a float4 variable called set it equals to a float4 of emission, 1. Save this shader code and head back to Unity. Now create a new unlit shader. This shader will be applied to the core of black hole. In this shader, go to the top and write a custom folder name. Now I am going to write some properties. The first property will be Fresnel value. The type is float. Fresnel is used to fake a curvature look. You must have played Subway Surfer. The road in the game is having a curvature at the very end. These kind of effects are achieved using Fresnel. Then I am going to define Fresnel power. The type is float and default value is 1. Now I am going to define Fresnel intensity. The type is float and default value is 1.5. I am also going to write a property for color so that we can change the core color. Then in path block, set name as forward. Also set light mode tag to forward base. Now we are going to define some Pragma statements. First define Unity pass forward base. Then write Pragma multi-compile FWD base full shadows. Then write Pragma to render the shader only in Unity3d 9 and 11 and in OpenGL core and OpenGL text. Then set target to 3.0. Then include all the properties. Here I am including Fresnel power, Fresnel value, Fresnel intensity. Remember these are a float property. Also include the color as a float4 property. In the app data, struct define a float3 variable, normal. Also define a float4 variable, vertex color. Here, I forget to add the vertex color and will add it later. Then in v2f struct, change the name UV to world pose. Then define a float3 variable normal dir, set type to text chord 1. Also define a float4 variable for vertex color. Now in invert function, remove the line where UV of object is defined. Then write O.vertex color equals to V.vertex color. Then write O.world pose equals to multiplication of Unity underscore object to world and V.vertex. Then write O.normal.dir equals to the Unity object to world normal. Pass V.vertex in it. Now in the frag function, remove all the code except apply fog statement and return statement. Then normalize the normal.dir. Now define a float3 variable, view direction. Set it equal to normalization of x, y, z, value of underscore world space camera pose, and I.world pose.x, y, z. Then define a float3 variable normal direction and set it equal to normal.dir. Then define a float3 variable emission. The value of emission is equal to the summation of RGB, value of color and vertex color. Here I have multiplied the vertex color with a large equation. This equation is applying a curvature to the object on which this shader will be applied. Now define a float4 variable call and set it equal to the float4 of emission and 1. Save the shader and head back to Unity. You can see that we are having an error. This error occurred because I defined world pose as a float2 variable. Instead of float2, it should have been a float4 variable. We are done with the shader coding. Now let's create the game objects for black hole. I am going to create an empty game object and set it to origin, also set its name to black hole. This is the parent of all other game objects. Inside this game object, I am creating new game objects. These game objects will handle different particle systems of the black hole. The core will handle the particle system of core. The horizontal waves will handle the particle system of horizontal waves. The vertical waves will handle the particle system of vertical waves. The stars waves will handle the particle system of stars around the core. I will also add a wind song to affect the movement of stars. Set the wind song direction to spherical. Hope you liked this video and learned something new. If you want to support me making these videos, then please check out my Patreon page. Link will be in description. In the next video, we are going to create material for different parts of black hole. Then we will add the particle system to add the waves and star system around black hole.